Alright guys, welcome to Flavoriana's MMA show. I am Flavoriana, and UFC Vegas 91 is officially in the books. It was headlined by Matheus Nicolau versus Alex Perez. This was originally supposed to be Matheus Nicolau versus Manel Kopp, but Manel Kopp ended up withdrawing his name, I believe, because he had a really bad rib injury that had him sidelined. And even in the hospital for, I think it was about 10 days or so. So once Kopp realized that it was too much of a risk to continue training and compromising himself to get into a fight with Matheus Nicolau, who is a really decent, if not really good, flyweight, right? He felt that it was just best in his best interest to pull out, and Alex Perez ended up inserting his name in. Now, Alex Perez just recently had fought back in March, if I'm not mistaken, against Muhammad Mahayev, and it was a three-round fight that ended up going to decision. And when you fight Muhammad Mahayev, you really don't absorb a lot of damage. So Alex Perez felt that his body was comfortable enough to make another weight cut back to 125 pounds. And he didn't really get touched up at all in the Muhammad Mahayev fight, because it was pretty much all grappling for the most part and very low output. But that was the main event. And look, honestly, guys, like, people were crapping on this card. Was this a card that I'm going to tell everybody to go rewatch because, this was phenomenal? No, but honestly, like, it was a really good card, like, just to sit down and watch and just enjoy fights and stuff like that. People really crap on the Apex, and I feel like the Apex is, it does what it's supposed to do. Like, you're not going to be putting this type of a main event out there in front of a crowd and expect a sellout when more often than not, people don't really know Matheus Nicolau or Alex Perez. Like, this was a card really for hardcore fans, and the Apex cards usually serve that purpose, right? Alex Perez, man, this guy is very interesting because, like, he has not won a fight since Amanda Nunes ended up defeating Felicia Spencer at, what is it called, UFC 250, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, maybe 250. I'm not 100% certain, but it was that May pay-per-view card of 2020. That's when you had Sean O'Malley knocking out Eddie Wineland. You had Aljamain Sterling submitting Corey Sandhagen very quickly, though. You had, obviously, like I said, Amanda beating Felicia Spencer. And then in the prelims, you had Alex Perez defeating Jermir Formiga, who is no longer in the UFC and has not been with the UFC for quite some time. I don't understand why he's still in the UFC video games, because him and Paige Van Zandt are always in these video games, and they just took out Alexis Davis, who another person who hasn't fought in the UFC in quite some time. But that was the last time Alex Perez fought. Alex Perez has had multiple cancellations, lost to Davison Figueiredo, has lost to Alexandre Pantoja, has lost to Muhammad Mahayev. But within that time gap, right, I'm going to pull up how many times he's actually had gray marks on his fights. Alex Perez, 7-4 in the UFC, 20 in his pro MMA career, 25 wins, 8 losses. His 4 losses are to Muhammad Mahayev, Alexandre Pantoja, Davison Figueiredo, Joseph Benavidez, and yeah, it says he's 7-4 on Tapology. But me personally, I don't mean, what was that 4th loss at? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was on my end. David Figueiredo, Alexandre Pantoja, Muhammad Mahayev, and Joseph Benavidez. But in between, since he ended up winning against Jermir Formiga, what's it called? Canceled bout against Brandon Moreno. All right, he was supposed to fight Brandon Moreno in November of 2020. That's when Brandon Royval ended up stepping in. Was supposed to fight Matt Schnell, never happened. Was supposed to fight Askar Askarov, never happened. Supposed to fight Matt Schnell actually on 4 different occasions. May 2021, September 2021, December 2021, February 2022, didn't happen. Also was supposed to fight Askar Askarov for a second time, July of 2022, never happened. Think he ended up missing weight and had a bad weight cut or something like that. Supposed to fight Amir Abazi of 2020 in 2022, didn't happen, and I believe that was for the December pay-per-view card. Was supposed to fight Kai Kara France on the February pay-per-view card, didn't happen. Supposed to fight Manel Kopp, didn't happen. Had a grappling match on the UFC Fight Pass Invitational against Roman Bravo Young, came to a draw, and that was in June of 2023. For Muhammad Mokaev of March 2nd of this year, turns it around a month and a half later, fights Matheus Nicolau. So it's very interesting. I mean, the man has pulled out of fights, had canceled fights. We're talking about, he was also he canceled his fight with Tagir Ulanbekov to fight Matheus Nicolau, which was a smart move. But you had Manel Kopp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 canceled bouts since 2020. That is ridiculous. And going into round 1, honestly, Nicolau was trying to get a read. Perez was like, screw that. Attacking the body, throwing combinations. All right. And I'm like, all right, this is very interesting because like you're trying to slow down Nicolau. Nicolau is actually one of those flyweights that is really difficult to hit, and he's very calculated on how he throws his strikes and stuff like that. He doesn't, throw strikes just to throw strikes. Perez is all action. He either gets got or he gets knocked out. He gets KO or he gets knocked out. All right. Sort of what happened in the Davis and Figueiredo fight. Round 2, we saw more of the same. Nicolau was trying to point fight. Perez was just trying to, get up all in his face. And then in a very similar situation that we ended up seeing earlier this year, when Ilya Topuria ended up throwing a 5-piece combination to Alexander Volkanovski, we saw the same thing with Alex Perez versus Matheus Nicolau. Nicolau was backpedaling. He was trying to defend. He was anticipating a 3-punch combination. He was expecting a 5-punch combination. Perez attacked the body, threw a 1-2-3 combo, turned with the left, and then came with the overhand right, and then clocked Matheus Nicolau, dropping him. Fight was over. Fight finished. It finished in the under 1.5. I unfortunately had Matheus Nicolau in a parlay that would have got me some decent money, but yeah, Alex Perez says that he is close to a title opportunity, a title shot. I don't know what he's thinking when he says that, because the man hasn't won since 2020. I really do believe that he might be 2, maybe 3 wins away. Him fighting for a belt next or after that is not happening. I think what he ended up doing is he ended up fighting to save his job, because if he would have been finished, if he would have been defeated in any manner, I really do believe that the UFC would have cut him. I know the UFC is not really big on people that can't make weight and can't fulfill their contract obligations, but for some reason he has been able to hang on a very thin thread, and this time he bought himself a lot more leash to survive being with the UFC, right? I do believe that the road will get tougher. I felt like maybe this was the most favorable matchup for Alex Perez. Do I see him beating a Brandon Royval? No. Do I see him beating on Amir Abazi? No. All right. Do I see him beating up on a Steve Erceg, who is fighting this week against Alexandre Pantoja for the flyweight title? No, I do not see that. What I do see is, maybe Alex Perez being able to beat your Tyson Ams, your David was it David Dvorak? Yeah, David Dvorak and stuff like that. I don't really see him beating up so many of the upper echelon type of fighters. I don't see him beating up on a Brandon Moreno and whatnot. Even if Davison Figueiredo wanted to come back down, I feel like the fight would still go back down to the same manner that happened in November of 2020. Just believe that Alex Perez is, he's a good action fighter. But with action fighters, they're very 50-50. It takes one to be lucky. It also takes one bad mistake to, finish you off. And I feel like at the level that these flyweights are, they're a lot more skill. I just think that Alex Perez is... I wouldn't be surprised within maybe one or two more losses like he gets cut. And that's just my opinion right there. With Matheus Nicolau, bad loss on his end. He lost to somebody who hasn't won since 2020. I know the UFC... we're having contract negotiations in his previous bout, and I believe that was against Brandon Royval. And who knows where he goes from here. For somebody who I thought that could be fighting for a belt to now down spiraling, look like his chin is pretty compromised. I don't like his chances against the up and coming flyweights. Tatsuro Taira, Josh Van. I feel like those two guys who are scheduled to fight on the Conor McGregor, the Islam versus Dustin Poirier card, right? I feel like those two guys are going to be the kings of the flyweights, along with Muhammad Mokaev, as long as he's able to learn how to, throw more volume in his striking. Co-main event, we had the doppelganger of Anthony Smith, Bogdan Guskov versus Ryan Spann. Look, people gave Bogdan Guskov underdog odds. I took it. Ryan Spann, in my opinion, is just somebody I can never bet on. I just felt that he got very lucky when he ended up facing Dominic Reyes a couple years ago in Madison Square Garden, where he laid him out because Dominic Reyes, is somebody who has a compromised chin as well too, and there needs to be a study on that guy on his downfall. But Ryan Spann, ever since that win, I don't believe he's gotten a win since then. Lost a competitive fight to Anthony Smith in Singapore. Let me just pull up his ever since beating Dominic Reyes, lost to Nikita Krylov, triangle choke, lost to Anthony Smith by split decision, which many people gave the fight to Ryan Spann, but overall he ended up losing, and then goes into this fight against Bogdan Guskov, who's another get or get got type of guy. Very fun. He's 31. He's young for heavyweight, and Ryan Spann was doing everything right up until he was doing not enough, where he ended up getting clipped, because Bogdan Guskov was down on the cards after the first round. Ryan Spann ended up controlling round one. Got a little bit tired, got a little bit lackadaisical. Bogdan Guskov ended up knocking him out. And I really do believe that Bogdan Guskov looks like Anthony Smith. Guy's a character, guys. He is a character. I do believe that Bogdan Guskov is going to be a fun fighter. Is he going to be fighting for a title? No. But like I said with this card is for hardcores. It's not really the card that you're going to want to have your MMA casual friends who are just going to be trying to enjoy a fight. I mean, if they wanted to enjoy a fight, they would have. And this would have been the perfect fight to put on. And where it goes for both these fighters, like I said, Guskov, put this guy in fun fights. Maybe you can parlay him into a title shot if you matchmake for him properly, but I doubt it, Ryan Spann, I don't know. This guy is just... like I said, I just can't put my money on this guy. He was a favorite and a decently heavy favorite and it showed that he could, win these type of fights, and he has the tools and the capability. But the problem is just his IQ. His IQ is just terrible, guys. It is just terrible, and that's one of the main reasons why he's on the 3-fight losing streak. And then another fight I wanted to talk about is this fight. I don't know why it's giving me to this. Wanted to talk about Jonathan Dins versus Austin Lane. Austin Lane, if you guys don't know who he is, for what's it called? I think it was Justin Tafa. Yeah, it was Justin Tafa. Fought him in what's it called? Auckland. Was it Auckland, New Zealand, or Perth? I think it was Perth, Australia, right? Poked Justin Tafa in the eye, bad eye poke, couldn't fight. Tafa says, "You know what? I'm gonna fight you in your hometown in Jacksonville, Florida." Fights him over there, knocks him out, and man, I gotta say that Austin Lane is really not that good of a fighter. I know he's a street brawler and stuff like that. There is a difference between throwing hands and being a mixed martial artist, and that is not Austin Lane. Because just another person like I just mentioned about Ryan Spann, low IQ. Austin Lane is just on that same boat. He's on that same carousel, guys. Because Austin Lane was doing everything right. All right. This is the same guy also got knocked out bad in the Contender Series against Greg Hardy. Who Greg Hardy is not that good either. Austin Lane ends up fighting I can't pronounce it. Jonathan Denise, right? Glory kickboxer, takes him down. Perfect. Great IQ right there. Make sure you have the Glory kickboxer, feel exhausted and stuff like that. But here's the problem. Did that for all around one, held him down. And I've always mentioned this to even like friends and family. Wrestling is one of those, types of sports where if you don't do it, and you just try to wrestle like right off the bat, you are going to get exhausted. I have wrestled with plenty of people before, and I tell you what, wrestling, it exhausts you. And Austin Lane is not a wrestler; he's a brawler. And the way when he ended up wrestling with Jonathan Denise, right? He was exhausted after round one. Guys, DraftKings had him had Austin Lane as a high. What's it called? -400, -350, right? Jonathan Denise was a heavy underdog. I saw him at one point at +300, I think maybe as high as like +315. I was able to snag him at +285 as soon as like the line movements was changing drastically. Guys, within the first minute or so, Jonathan Denise was able to take advantage on the fact that Austin Lane's cardio was shot. He was tired. He didn't have anything left. And all it just took was just a 1-2 piece combination on a very exhausted, brawler that is Austin Lane. Knocks him out. Looked like he kind of quit. Don't blame him, because when you get hit in the chin like that, I don't blame anybody for just saying that's it, no mas. And night Irene. Austin Lane is done. Jonathan Denise, wins his UFC heavyweight debut. But yeah, guys, this was a decent card, I guess you could say. And on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a solid 5.5. And I didn't mention also Uros Medic. He ended up fighting Tim Means. Great fight because Uros Medic, this guy wastes no time whatsoever on trying to finish fights. This guy is also a get or get got type of guy. Nice left uppercut to Tim Means, who's another person that I feel like his chin is heavily compromised. Night was over, and Uros Medic wins. He also ended up getting a bonus too. And there was other fights. Jonathan Pierce versus David Onama. Long story short, David Onama ended up missing weight, ended up winning. Split decision. We had Lipski versus Silva, or Da Silva versus Silva, because Lipski ended up changing her last name. So overall, UFC Vegas 91 is officially in the books. We are on the road to UFC 301, and that'll be headlined by Alexandre Pantoja versus Steve Erceg. You also have Jonathan Martinez, the Dragon, Jonathan Martinez versus return of Jose Aldo Jr. Vitor Petrino versus Anthony Smith. Karolina Kovacevic versus what's it called? I forgot her name. Girl that has a butterfly tattoo on her neck. Yeah, Yasmin Lucindo. And this is the fight that I'm looking forward to. Joanderson Brito versus Jack Shore. That is going to be a fun fight. I cannot wait. And UFC 301. Another card who is not really for casual fans, but it's for the hardcore fans. So I encourage you guys to buy it. So then, guys, I'm Flavo Mariana, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.